Have you heard the tragic story of Brittney Silvers? Fort Campbell? Where you at? This case took place back in 2018, but we have a semi-conclusion as of December of 2022. So I wanted to give you guys all the details and I wanted us to remember the victim. I obtained the information I'm about to share with you from the formal indictment from a few years ago. Brittney Mitchell Silvers was a native of Jacksonville, Florida. While she was a part of the Army, she served as an automated logistical specialist in the 101st Airborne Division. Brittney was married to Victor Silvers, but by 2018, the couple had had a falling out and they were in the process of divorcing. Sadly, Brittney would be unable to escape the grasp of her hate-filled husband. Welcome back, True Crime Army. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am Mama Margot, and this is my true crime channel, which is a bridge between my true crime content on YouTube and also my primary form of storytelling, which is a podcast called Military Murder. If you just happened upon my channel and you're into all things newsworthy and true crime, you've come to the right place. I intend to put out 2 videos a month. So if you're interested in true crime in video and story format, then be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss one of my new videos. On October 18th, 2018, 27-year-old Brittney Silvers was at her home located on Fort Campbell, Kentucky. That night, she was at her house with a friend who I will refer to as JFK. At around 10 p.m., while Brittney and JFK were in the apartment, there was loud banging that started taking place at Brittney's door. Brittney immediately looked at JFK and was like, hey, go hide out in the bathroom. And so he did. As JFK sat in the bathroom, he could hear Brittney and someone else arguing at the front door, when all of a sudden, shots rang out. JFK stayed in the bathroom for about a second when the bathroom door swung open and in walked a man wielding a gun. JFK and the gunman got into a scuffle as JFK was trying to unarm this man. During the scuffle, the gun went off 3 times. One of those 3 times, it shot JFK in the leg. However, he was successful in disarming the gunman and then chasing the gunman out of the apartment. The perpetrator attempts to jump into his Chrysler 300 as he tried to take off, but when everything had been happening initially, 2 other soldiers ran out of their apartment and they basically barricaded the guy and wouldn't let him leave. Which, can we say, heroes? Listen, anyone else could have easily locked themselves in their house, not done anything, maybe peeked out their window, but these 2 heroes were like, no, we're gonna stop whatever is going on. And so I just wanna say, snaps to them. Okay, let's backtrack just a little bit. This all started to pop off at around 10 p.m. when Brittney opened her door. There was some arguing and 2 loud bangs. As the gun went off, there was a neighbor, who I'm going to call Bob, who was walking his dog. When he heard the gunshots, he looked in the direction of the gunfire and he saw a person collapse near a trash can. Then Bob saw a slender, tall man walk right up onto the body and execute them. The victim, who was laying by the trash can, was Brittney Silvers. As soon as Bob heard this, he ran into his apartment, 1, to call 911, and 2, to alert his roommate. But then, as he's like on the phone with 911, more gunshots ring out because that's, remember, the 3 gunshots that happened in the bathroom. And so Bob grabs his own gun, he goes outside, his roommate follows him, and it's unclear. It seems like they may have known that the perpetrator came in this Chrysler 3000. Is it a 3000 or is it a 300? Oh my God. It's a 300. So Bob grabs his gun and then he goes outside to secure the scene. When JFK chased the perpetrator out of the house, Bob was already securing the scene. As the perpetrator either got into his car or was trying to get into his car, he shouted, "Just shoot me." But Bob is a professional and he ain't going down like that. So he didn't shoot his weapon, he just secured it until the police arrived on scene. Once police arrive, they tell the man to get out of the vehicle, and the man, aka the perpetrator, is later identified as 29-year-old Victor Silvers, Brittney's estranged husband. Bob, who had been securing the scene, is interviewed by the police and he's like, yeah, this is the guy who did it. Because remember, Bob actually witnessed the murder. When police interview JFK, he's like, yes, this is the shooter. But when they go to, he's like, no, it's not me. It wasn't me. Let me tell you what happened. He's like, the perpetrators are actually 2 men, 1 white man and 1 black guy. They shot Brittney and then they got into an Altima and they took off. Mind you, Bob watched the whole thing. Police aren't really buying Victor's story, but listen, when police search Victor's car, what do they find in the trunk? An empty Smith & Wesson box that is a match for the gun that JFK dislodged from the perpetrator. Regardless of what they found, or regardless of who witnessed what, Victor was adamant that he was not his wife's killer. During the investigation, Army CID, the Criminal Investigation Division, they discovered that just 6 days before the shooting, Brittney had obtained a no contact order against her husband because according to Brittney, her husband had been violent with her in the past. And the crazy thing is that specifically the reason why she got this restraining order was because there was another incident also involving a gun. According to the restraining order, Victor was to stay 300 feet away from Brittney and her residence, an order which he quickly violated. Also, it should be noted, he shouldn't have had a weapon. However, 4 months before he murdered his wife, he was able to purchase the murder weapon. So Victor thought he was sly. He talks to investigators and he's like, okay, fine. It wasn't 2 guys that shot my wife. It was actually JFK. He was the one and he was holding the gun when y'all arrived. So arrest him. Eventually, though, Victor knew the jig was up and he finally confessed to the shooting. Victor was subsequently charged with the following: first-degree premeditated murder, attempted first-degree murder, interstate domestic violence, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person because he was not able to have guns due to a domestic violence issue and the restraining order, and use of a firearm during commission of a violent offense. 2.5 years after Brittney's murder in 2021, the prosecutors in Victor's case announced that they would be seeking the death penalty. However, in 2022, according to an article written in Military Times, the motion to prosecute the case as a death penalty was withdrawn at the request of U.S. Attorney General Garland. Not too many people were thrilled with this decision of removing the death penalty, and Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas was particularly disturbed by the prosecutor's actions. He even went as far as writing a letter to Attorney General Garland asking specifically what had changed from February of 21 through April of 22 to lead to such a drastic decision. I haven't found anything to describe whether there was a response to this letter, but I did want to point it out. In any event, I have an update for you as of December of 2022. Just this month, a federal jury convicted Victor of first-degree murder, attempted murder, domestic violence resulting in death, violation of a protection order resulting in death, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, and 2 counts of discharging a firearm during and in relation to a crime of violence. Victor Silvers' sentencing hearing is scheduled to take place in February of 2023. It does appear that he is facing a mandatory life sentence, and there is no parole in the federal system. After Brittney's untimely death, she was posthumously promoted to sergeant. I read a news article in News JAX that said that Brittney's father, Rod Hughes, is happy to see that his daughter is finally getting the justice she deserves, albeit he is not happy that it has taken over 4 years to bring this man to trial. In describing Brittney, her father said that she was a fun, happy person. She was the type of person that could turn a sad day into a happy day. He said he never really saw his daughter having a sad day. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to watch this video, and let's keep Brittney's family in our thoughts and prayers. If you got something out of today's story, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And if you're interested in more Mama Margot on the go, consider tuning in to my podcast, Military Murder, where there are over 120 episodes for you to binge. Bye.